We are live. Hey Jamal, you ever seen Space Jam?
Which one?
The first one, the only good one.
The real one?
The real Space Jam.
Yeah.
Remember that scene near the end where Michael Jordan gets the team together and he says they got to play defense?
Yep.
And Bill Murray says what? He says, I don't play defense.
We don't play defense.
I don't play defense.
That sounds familiar.
That's the Charlotte Hornets. James Bradley during the timeout. Hey guys, we gotta play defense and take the smart shot. What are guys doing? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
We don't do that here in Charlotte. No,
we're gonna go out and we're gonna shoot 4 straight 3-pointers and miss them all, and then allow Bogdanovich to hit 4 in a row, wide open. Just leave him open. We don't need to cover him.
Welcome.
I mean, that's really all. That's the story of the playing game. Under construction, we're back. We're just lamenting the Hornets getting destroyed in the playing game for the second straight season. Oh my God! I'm your host Kaiser Sose. Got angry black fan Jamal. Darby with me. Rodney is celebrating his wife's birthday today. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Yeah, happy birthday! Happy Easter birthday! Yes.
Absolutely. Finally, a happy day for somebody in the under construction crew.
It ain't happy over here today, buddy. Tell you that.
If it was Charlotte or North Carolina sports, boy, it was a rough week. I'm rocking the Hurricanes jersey, even though they got obliterated last night, but they're still Stanley Cup favorites. So
Hey, Kaza, let's get our hockey commentary out the way. I just have one question. I have one question for you, since you're more of the hockey expert than we are. How the hell do you give up 7 goals? That's all I want to know.
Seriously, goaltending has always been, I think, the weak point for the Hurricanes going back to last season, and there were some concerns about it going into this season, but it's been better than expected. But at this point in the season, it's just like any sport. Teams get that film; they know where to attack, and I think that's all it was last night. And
correct me if I'm wrong. The Avalanche, they've won 4 in a row, 5 in a row now, something like that.
Trends matter. I say that all the time. No matter what the sport, trends matter. I'm not that worried about the Hurricanes, though. I think it'll be all right.
Perfect segue. Trends matter. I think you know where I'm going with this. Take it from here, sir.
Trends matter. Let's rewind back to last Wednesday. The Charlotte Hornets faced the Atlanta Hawks on the road in a playing game, which would determine who would play the loser of the 7th seed and 8th seed game. And the Hornets were not they were competitive for the first 4 minutes of the game. In fact, they were winning, but after that, it just went downhill, and they ended up getting blown out by 29 points. I don't even really know what to say. I don't even know what to say about this game. It just
I'll help you because I got plenty to say, but go ahead, man.
Take it away, angry black fan.
I'm going to tell you what I am most disappointed with. Here's what I am most. There's a lot. I mean, we're going to cover a lot, but this is what I'm most disappointed with. CLT3, as they call themselves, Mr. Terry Rozier, Mr. Miles Bridges, Mr. LaMelo Ball. Terry Rozier talked more, and excuse my language on this fine Easter Sunday. Excuse my language. Terry Rozier talked more shit than anybody on the team about how they should come out in this playing game, how they should be playing more intensity, how they should realize the moment, defense matters, and you are the main one that doesn't show up. I have a problem with that. That you cannot call yourself the leader, the quote-unquote leaders of the team, and you come out and you play like a pile of dog crap. It doesn't work that way. And then you got Miles Bridges pouting after the game. I feel like I didn't get the ball enough. You might want to talk to your point guard who shot the ball 25 times.
And made 7 of those.
And made 7, okay? But, hey, lo and behold, all that is whose fault?
James Bradley. Oh, yeah, of course. James Bradley's fault.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, because I don't want to cuss anymore on Easter Sunday.
Here's what really disappoints me about Terry Rozier in particular. He has the most playoff pedigree of anyone on the team. We remember what he did with the Boston Celtics when Kyrie Irving went down. He really essentially led that team to the Eastern Conference Finals and played extremely, extremely well. I would expect him to not be overtaken by the moment, and I don't think that he was necessarily overtaken by the moment, but he just didn't show up. Okay, sometimes you shoot poorly. I get it. Sometimes it's just not your night shooting. But you got to find some other way
to make it happen, right?
Right, to impact the game. Whether that's getting your teammates involved, or you got to do something. And he did nothing. It was almost like he just acquiesced to the fact that the shot wasn't falling.
Kaza, let me cut you off there because here's a good point that I want to make. I want to kind of add to your point that you're making here. So I was listening to our main man, Mr. Jerry Valancourt, on WFNZ Monday. He made a very good point. Okay. Sometimes you're going to play defense and sometimes the other team is just going to hit shots anyway. That's just going to happen sometimes. You're going to have a hand in the man's face and he's going to hit that shot sometimes. But as a professional, it is your responsibility to not pout about it and to not let it affect your play on the other end of the court. The Charlotte Hornets have a very big problem of facing adversity or how they handle adversity. You get what I'm saying? Yes. That is the common theme with these two playing games. They faced a little bit of adversity in that third quarter, and they folded. I have a problem with that. Again, Mason, Miles, LaMelo, you go 20 for 58 total. And you let it affect your play on the other end of the court. That cannot happen as professional. There is no I don't give a damn if Moses was the coach. He should not be responsible for you to be motivated to come in this type of game and to give effort. There's no strategy that gives you more effort when it comes to playing defense. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I don't understand what people think the coach could have done differently.
Clap his hands harder.
People are going to say that the lineups these are the same lineups that we won 43 games with, by the way. So, I mean, I don't.
And not only the same lineup we won 43 games with, but the same lineups that nobody had a problem with when we were winning those 43 games.
Right.
There were no.
I know there was a lot of people that were upset that PJ Washington got big minutes late over, Montrez. But I think JB felt. Okay, because sometimes here's the problem. If you let a team get into an offensive rhythm, playing defense actually might not be the thing you want to do. Might not be the thing you want to focus on, because if you let a guy like Bogdanovich get into a shooting rhythm, you can put hands in his face. It's not going to matter. He's going to hit those shots. So now you got a match. You need an offensive spark, and our small ball lineup with PJ Washington has done a good job of giving some offense. But I think at that point, I don't know what else he could have done. I do think the Hornets came out. They did come out prepared. They started the game off strong. Atlanta started to take a little lead, and the Hornets kept the game close. But that third quarter was unlike anything I ever seen. Swagner asks, how much do you think the bus delay played a part in it? Not much. Maybe a little psychological stuff, because, athletes are very particular. It doesn't take a lot to throw them off of their rhythm, but I don't think that had too much to do with it, considering, like I said, the Hornets started off the game very, very strong.
You know what? And I want to add to your point, because the main narrative that's going around with people who hate James Borrego, the main narrative, they weren't prepared to play. They didn't look prepared to play. Here's my counter argument to that. As many shots as those three guys that I'm going to keep mentioning missed in the first half, and for us to only be down by 8, that lets me know they were prepared to play. They were just missing shots. You get what I'm saying?
I thought, like I said, they started off the game strong. You could make the argument that Nate McMillan made a better halftime adjustment than James Borrego did.
And I'm going to touch on that in a minute.
I'm not certain if that, I'm so glad they have the coaches mic'd up. I'm so glad, because if you hear what James Borrego was saying during those timeouts, he was literally telling the Hornets how to win the game. He said 2 things or 3 things. Play defense, guys. Take the smart shot, take the good shot. He said that exactly. I didn't see anybody take the smart shot or the good shot. In fact, that very next play after the timeout, LaMelo Ball launches a 3 from damn near 35 feet away. Is that the smart shot? Is that the good shot? No. That was his way of saying, look, guys, all these threes you launching ain't falling. You guys need to take the smarter shot. And then what would happen is we'd miss some dumb shot, and then the Hawks would go down and score because we don't play any defense. And it just snowballed.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. Here's the thing with that. I want to give first of all, I do want to give props to PJ Washington. I do want to give props to Cody Martin, at least on the defensive end. He didn't do anything offensively, but on the defensive end, I was kind of impressed with what he did. Those 2 players look like professionals. They look like the moment was not too big for them. You know what I mean? With Cody Martin, nothing really went right for him on the offensive end, but it didn't affect the way he played defense on the other end. And that's what true professionalism. I'm going to use that word a lot today, professionalism, because the Hornets lacked a lot of that Wednesday night. There wasn't a lot of professionalism, especially by our main 3 guys. You know what I mean?
This comment by Holding Your Own Sports podcast. I completely agree with this. Everyone on the team is too cool with each other. That's a damn good point, man. Yeah,
there's
a point where somebody on that team has to be like, "What are you guys doing?" And you would think it would be someone like Montrez
or Isaiah Thomas
or IT or Terry. I would think that would be Terry, but nobody is holding their peers accountable on that team, and that's. Remember all the hubbub about the Miami Heat getting into a fight on the bench? Where's Miami Heat sitting right now?
Right.
I want to see that.
No, right now they're beating the hell out of the Hawks by 29 points. That's where they're at right
now. Because Jimmy Butler's like, look, y'all. Nobody on the Hornets is doing that, and that's a big thing. For one, I don't think LaMelo has that in him, and I do want to talk about that in a bit. In more detail, but I just don't think LaMelo has that in him to just like get on his teammates like they need and hold them accountable.
And let me say this about that point. Maybe not yet. He's only 20 years old. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he'll ever get to that point. I don't know if he's that guy, but I'm willing to give him time for it to really be his team.
I don't know. Even if it's his team, I just don't think that's in his personality. We've never seen any indication that LaMelo is, to be fair with Anthony Edwards, we've seen that with him. He essentially last season said, hey, man, I went up to Karl Anthony Towns, a superstar, by the way, perennial all-star, and told him, hey, you need to step your game up, bro.
Yeah, good point.
Minnesota this year,
Good point.
LaMelo has never done anything like that because maybe he is too cool with Miles Bridges. I'm not saying there's one thing. You and our boys, we've known each other for 15, 16 years now.
Right.
When it comes to, we have discussions that you guys don't see all the time behind the scenes about under construction and stuff, about in which we hold each other accountable for the stuff that needs to be done. That's what you do.
That's what you do
with your teammates. Somebody on the Hornets has to do that.
And look. Since people accuse us of being, Borrego protectors, that may be something that he may want to address in the upcoming season. Accountability, setting the standard for what he expects going into next season. That may or may not be something he needs to address, because I want to say that because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes with them. We're not insiders. We don't know. Okay. So I'm just saying maybe or maybe not. He may want to set that standard like, here's what we accept. Here's what we don't accept. Just something to think about.
To go back to Jimmy Butler, he wasn't just holding his teammates accountable. He was holding the coach accountable too.
Right.
He's fighting his coach because they're fired up and they want to win. It's not like, our players fight the coach because they can't get minutes or whatever. I don't even know what that's all about. But yeah, I think that might have been the biggest difference in teams like Atlanta maybe even Cleveland that ended up higher than us in the standings.
Yeah, but I just want to say, man, we're glad that you're watching the show today, man. Because again, that's an excellent point, man. And I think going into the offseason, Mitch Kupchak may want to address that as well. Get somebody on this roster that these kids are scared of a little bit, or have some respect from, because we talk a lot about development and culture, and that may be the next step in the Hornets culture and building the culture that we ultimately want.
I want to talk about LaMelo Ball. Past Melo asked, what are the chances of Melo signs a second contract? So I'll touch on that in a bit, but really I want to talk about maybe LaMelo needs a Jimmy Butler. You look at Minnesota, because a lot of people are comparing the Hornets and the Timberwolves, even though that's not really a fair comparison.
And the Grizzlies. We're getting compared to the Grizzlies too, yeah.
Anthony Edwards came into a great situation in which he already had 2 All-Stars that were already on the team, and he could just kind of come in and supplement them and then be ready to be a leader on that team. And
real quick, Anthony Edwards plays off the ball, and that makes a hell of a difference with LaMelo, who is the primary ball handler.
Right, exactly.
Who has so much responsibility. But go ahead, man.
But I mean, LaMelo didn't come into a situation like that. And now fans are asking, hey, okay, and he needs the keys to the team, which I kind of think he has now. He's got a bigger green light than he ever had as a rookie. And now, but I just, like I said before, I don't think LaMelo's got that in them to just be the guy. They need to bring in. I mean, look at Miami. Look at the difference when they brought in Jimmy Butler. Now, granted, they didn't have a young star in the making like LaMelo Ball, but they bring in Jimmy Butler, changes the team overnight. Maybe.
And not only Jimmy Butler, but people laughed at them when they kept Udonis Haslem on the roster. Oh, Udonis Haslem, he's 50 years old. Why are they keeping him on the roster? We see why. he gets at those dudes. He holds Jimmy Butler accountable. So that's the kind of culture that the Miami Heat have. And look, I have to take a shower every time I say this because I hate the Heat, but at the same time, man, their culture is what we want here in Charlotte.
Oh yeah, definitely. To address the question about whether or not LaMelo signs a second contract, I mean, he will, unless he pulls Ben Simmons or something like that. And I also don't think LaMelo has that in him. I don't think he's not going to sit out playing basketball so he can go to another team. Essentially, I don't think that he'll re-sign an extension unless it's a max deal, which it will be. The Hornets will offer him 5 years, $172 million or whatever 2 years from now. And he'll accept it, and he'll play through that contract. And then after that, and we've said this on the show multiple times, if the Hornets have not built a contender around LaMelo Ball at the end of that extension, he should leave. He should go to LA or wherever it is he wants to go, because they will have failed him just miserably. If you're talking 8-9 years and you failed to build a contender around
right
superstar.
Right. I want to answer that as well, man. We don't know the guy. We don't hang out with LaMelo Ball. We haven't interviewed him yet. But he hasn't given any indication that he's the type of guy that wants to go somewhere else and be LeBron James. What I mean by that, he doesn't come across as the guy that's gonna call up Luka or whoever else is a young guy and say, hey, let's team up and get our championship somewhere else. He just doesn't strike me as that type of guy. And I'm judging off of like interviews and the times that he's been questioned about it before. He seems like he wants it to work in Charlotte. Right. And to Kaiser's point, by that end of that second extension, if it doesn't, then he it's totally within his right to want to go somewhere at that point. But right now, he doesn't strike me as the type of guy that wants to.
We have heard a pretty solid rumor about someone who Melo became close with during the All-Star break. And
that we can't name right now.
We're not going to say, but yeah, it seems to be a fairly solid rumor that the Hornets are going to go after this guy because him and LaMelo got really close. I don't know. But to address James' question here about the biggest problem being the lack of talent, I'm actually going to agree with him there. We keep saying, fans keep saying, hey, we need a center. Hey, we need a center. Hey, we need a center. And
every 5 minutes.
Right. We do. We can't say, well, the talent is great, but James Regel just don't coach them, and then say, but they need a center. They need an inside presence. I mean, they would be better with a center, right? Like, regardless of how crappy or how good James Regel is, if they had a solid defensive center, they would have been better than they were. Now, we said at the beginning of the season that this was a 42 to 44 win team.
Right.
And
they won 43 games. Right.
They won 40, that's what they are. The Hornets, yeah. That's how many games they won. So I think that's where their talent is. And if they don't if Mitch doesn't make some kind of major splash this season, that's where they're going to stay. So
I agree with that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they either need to make a big move or have faith in Kai Jones and James Bouknight.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you mentioned those two names because let me first say this. I don't want to be Mitch Kupchak because I feel like he's going to have his work cut out for him, and he's going to also have to make some very important decisions this summer. Not only do the Hornets need a center, that's the obvious thing, right? Everybody agrees we need a center, but I'm also of the mindset of Rodney. Rodney also kind of projects the fact that we need a good wing defender too. We don't have that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Look, I like Terry Rozier's heart. I like what Terry Rozier gives us, but at the end of the day, he's 6'2". You know, you get what I'm saying? His size is a hindrance if you're looking for a good wing defender. If you're a championship level team, let's tell the truth. Terry Rozier shouldn't be your second guy if you have championship aspirations. I love the dude. I'm not trying to come down on him, but the truth is the truth. So in our pursuit for interior rim protection, we need to also equally pursue wing defense as well. To me, it's just as important.
Hey, that rumor we heard, I'm just saying.
Store that up. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Listen, I'm going to give you one example before I let you go, Kaza. I look at the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors don't have a big rim protector in the middle. They're the number one ranked defense in the NBA. You know why? Because they have good wing defense. They have Draymond Green who guards the three. They have Gary Payton the third. They have Jordan Poole. Those guys guard the perimeter. So it's just as important.
I think a lot of fans do realize, though, that what a defensive center will do will simply cover our defensive deficiencies. Right. You can get away with the way the Hornets run their help defense if you got a guy in the middle who is going to contest shots at the rim.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It helps.
It does. I fully expect. I mean, there is no expect. The Hornets will go after a center in the off season. I mean, you've got a few guys that are going to be free agents, and I expect the Hornets to go 100% at those guys.
But I have a question for you, Kaza. See, this is where I don't want Mitch Kupchak's job because here's the decision you got to make. Yeah, you go after a center, but how does Kai Jones fit into that equation? Because we all want him to play, right? We all agree that we want Kai Jones to be out there next season. So where does he fit into that equation? Tough question, right?
Yeah, it is. But I think, okay, so does Kai Jones make us more than a 43-win team?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question.
So,
I truly don't.
Whereas I'm just going to throw a name, Nurkic. Does he make us more than 43 wins?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm very glad I'm not Mitch Kupchak. That's probably why, there's a rumor that he might not even be
right.
And he's probably like, look, I'm too old for this, y'all.
I'm too old for this.
Someone else can have this, hey, got a fan in Michigan. What's up, Ronald?
Hey, man, Ron. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man.
Next question I do want to address. Someone says we got to move on from Gordon Hayward. Now, Gordon Hayward apparently has somewhat publicly expressed that he wants to change of scenery. I feel bad for Gordon Hayward because this is the Boston situation all over for him.
All over again. It sure is.
Groundhog Day for him, but it is what it is. And the Hornets finally found out how to play without Gordon Hayward near the end of the season. And it got to the point where I didn't even miss him on court. The lineup of PJ Miles, Terry LaMelo, Plumlee / Trez was fine. It was just as effective as having Gordon Hayward out there. The only thing Gordon Hayward really brings is veteran leadership, and he's not even on the court for that much of the time. So the question is, how do you get rid of him, though? No one's going to want that contract. It doesn't expire. Not an expiring contract next season.
There's one team that might want it, but go ahead.
I mean, but it comes with some baggage.
Sure does. but just to kind of add to that point as well, man. I think Gordon Hayward is probably going to get his wish granted. Quite honestly, I agree with Kaza. I think this team grew up, when he got hurt, because people were kind of laughing at us when we said, "Hey, man, this team is tough to win without Gordon Hayward," and that was true. That was true at some point in the season. But the youngins grew up, and like you said, after a while, we didn't miss him. Now, to add to the Gordon Hayward saga in the story, word has it, when he got here, he wanted to be the guy. He wanted to be the man. He was bought. He got $30 million, and he wanted the ball in his hands most of the time. And as time evolved, and as he got hurt again, and the kids grew up, that changed. So now I think Gordon Hayward himself sees, man, this team doesn't need me. He's probably in agreement with everybody now. Like, maybe it is time for me to move on. Right. And I don't think there should be any hard feelings. Like, I'm not. No. Me personally, I'm not some guy who hates the guy. You know what I mean? I think Gordon Hayward has had a very unlucky string of injuries since he's been here. I think he's been professional. I don't think he's a Nick Batum at all. I mean, not the least bit. So, but with all that being said, it's probably time for both parties to move on, and that's totally fine, man.
Yeah, absolutely. As people are saying, Gordon Hayward for Russell Westbrook, I just got a feeling that's going to happen, because you can offload Terry and Gordon, get Russell, dump him after next season. Now you've got almost $80 million in cap space.
And Kaiser, I'm gonna share a thought with you that I have not shared yet. Here's going to be a curveball with as far as that goes, dude. We got 2 picks in the top 20 in the draft. There's a shooting guard from Kansas that I think we're going to target. And if we get that guy, see you later, Terry. It's been real, brother. So it's almost like we have like an insurance plan against Terry leaving, so to speak.
I think that's what James Bouknight was. That's what I thought. That I didn't think they would get rid of Terry because they drafted Bouknight, but I thought that was okay because Terry's getting older. I mean, he's not older or anything.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the process. We groomed Bouknight up. And then, and I think it's not a coincidence that Terry Rozier and James Bouknight got close during the offseason. Bouknight spoke very highly of Rozier before the season started and all the things that he had done for him. There was a question, what center do you go after? Well, here's the problem. The free agent center market for next season is not very healthy.
Right.
Essentially, you got Yusuf Nurkic from Portland, who will probably not re-sign. He's already said if Damian Lillard doesn't come back, he's not coming back. I'd be shocked if Damian Lillard came back. Now, Nurkic is a double-double guy. He'll be 28 next season. He's got 8 seasons in the league. He comes with bird rights. He made $12 million a year on his previous contract. He'll probably want more than that, but I still think that he would be a fairly cheap option, but I think a lot of teams are going to go very hard at him. After that, there is a sharp decline. You got DeAndre Ayton, but he's going to re-sign with Phoenix. Come on. And then after that, there's Derek Favors, Serge Ibaka.
No.
JaVale McGee, Robin Lopez, Dwight Howard, Hassan Whiteside, Andre Drummond, Dwayne Dedman. Any of those names sound?
I can't believe I'm saying this. God, it really the apocalypse must be upon us. I wouldn't mind JaVale McGee, man. I really wouldn't. I think his defensive presence is actually would be a difference maker. I think he's kind of grown up from being that goofy guy that's always on Shaqtin' the Fool to a formidable center. He's done a lot of good things since he's been with the Suns, man. I wouldn't mind having him. And he probably
I think a guy like Nurkic is a guy that they're going to target, and if he doesn't fall through, then I think that you give Kai Jones, you throw him in the roster, and you can let LaMelo Ball throw alley-oops to him.
There's a question I do want to address. It discusses bringing back IT or Kemba Walker. We've made mention numerous times, and I've definitely said I want IT back. IT, I'm such a big fan of his, and kind of to go back to this atrocity of a game Wednesday, that's probably one thing different I would have done if I was Borrego is play IT a little more. I would have played him a little more, especially in that third quarter. That's the one thing I can't say I would have done differently. But as far as your question is concerned, I just don't see why not, man. To me, it makes too much sense to bring IT back, and in terms of that maybe falling through, and Kemba being a backup plan, Kemba's also a great backup plan at the right price as well. But if
more teams are going to be interested in Isaiah Thomas than Kemba Walker.
And that's what scares me. And like I know that's what scares me, because somebody's going to be like, hey, man, here's $9 million a year. And we're going to be like, nah, buddy, can't do it. You know what I mean? So, but Kemba Walker's a perfect backup plan to Isaiah Thomas. So I'll keep it at that.
Yep, absolutely. Someone asked about keeping those picks or trading them. I'm always for trading draft picks because
you're the trade draft pick guy.
Because I just feel like draft picks they just don't have a lot of value unless there's a guy that you absolutely know for sure. Unless you got an Anthony Davis or a game or somebody like that. I'd rather trade that for a known commodity, especially in the Hornets case where need is very important to the Hornets. They have holes that they need to fill. Whereas if you're drafting guys, you should always draft the best player available. You should never draft for needs, with lottery picks or even first round picks. So I just feel like if you can plug one of those holes at center or find a way to offload Gordon Hayward or Terry Rozier and 5 minutes for Kai and James Bouknight, then let those draft picks go. What are they going to do for us? What are those picks going to do for us?
I think it kind of just depends on how much you like those picks. If you fall in love with those picks, then you keep them. If you don't, you explore trades for them. I think the bigger question is because, our fan base, we cry a lot about our rookies supposedly not getting minutes. So if the Hornets draft 3 more rookies, then what kind of situation is that going to put them in next season? You know what I mean?
And that's rookies and give the rookies from this season more playing time.
Right.
We don't want to fall into this loop of, just drafting. I think the Hornets have drafted well enough to build a good core.
Right.
LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, and then you got guys like PJ Washington, and we're all very high on Kai Jones and James Bouknight, actually. I think that's a pretty good core to work with and develop. All right, this is the last JB question I'm going to address because, for the rest of the offseason. Does JB need to go before LaMelo gets set up?
You're just not doing any more cousins?
Not this season, because it's as simple as this. JB, if he does not get fired Monday, which he probably won't, then he's going to be here the whole next season. And the seat won't be warm for him, but they'll fire up the burners at the end of the season if the Hornets don't if they don't make the playoffs, because there's no play-in next year, so they got to make playoffs, or if there's a regression, then he'll be gone, and it won't matter. It won't matter. The relationship between him and LaMelo Ball will absolutely not matter. If the Hornets make the playoffs or put up 47 plus wins, James Borrego's going to be he's going to be here, y'all. He's going to be here until the organization feels like, okay, JB, you've taken us as far as you can go. Back when they fired the old regime, because remember, they fired everybody.
Right.
They fired, and when I say everybody, I'm always looking at job postings for NBA stuff for like IT roles and stuff. Working IT, and like they fired all IT guys too. They fired everybody. And they said that one of the biggest issues the Hornets / Bobcats had in the past was player development, poor drafting. Those are the two main things. And so they said, we're going to put together a front office and coaching staff just to focus on those two things, drafting and player development. And I feel like they've done a pretty good job of that, considering they've only had one top 5 pick in that time. That was LaMelo Ball. They hit on that because, I mean, really they lucked into that. But to be able to draft guys like Miles Bridges at the 12th spot, guys like P.J. Washington to make some maneuvers to end up getting Kai Jones and James Bouknight in the same draft, I think they've done a pretty good job. And as far as player development, I mean, look at all the guys that make big jumps from their first season to their second season. I know everyone hates Devontae Graham for some reason, but he was at 18 points per game. He averaged 18 and 6 starting.
You know why people hate Devontae Graham. Don't even act like
I know why. But I mean, he came out, he played pretty well. And we've seen big leaps from every year Miles Bridges makes an improvement. So I think they've shored up those two things. But at some point, they're going to say, okay, JB, you guys have drafted well and you developed our core, but we need a Steve Kerr. You're our Mark Jackson. We need a Steve Kerr. We need someone to take us the next. And that's when JB will be gone. But I don't think it's not going to be anytime soon, unless the Hornets just have a massive regression next season.
I want to say this. I think it's important to say we here under construction, we don't consider ourselves insiders, but every now and again we get little inside tracks. Every now and again we'll get little nuggets from people who are close to the organization. Mm-hmm. Let me say this. One of the pieces of inside information that I've received regarding James Borrego and his relationship with LaMelo Ball is that they're fine. LaMelo Ball goes over Borrego's house. He plays with his kids. Their relationship, from all I've heard, is perfectly fine. So I don't foresee LaMelo getting in a situation where he's fed up with Borrego per se. That doesn't seem to be on the horizon. And, look, we've been fed lip service before. Let me be very clear. But with that being said, I looked at the exit interviews from the Hornets. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of disharmony, so to speak. All the players have spoken on accountability. I need to get better. We need to get better. We need to watch film. We need to learn how to play defense. It's all been pretty accountable, so to speak. So I just don't foresee any real locker room issues with JB as far as everything that I've been told and everything that I've seen, and I'll keep it at that.
So let me ask you this. This is the $1 million question. Are the Hornets a better team now than they were last season? Because
absolutely,
everyone's looking at the end result.
Right.
And the end result was the same as last season. We don't make the playoffs. We make the playing game. We get absolutely destroyed in the playing game. So to a lot of people, it's like, well, it's the same. But are they really the same? I mean, from a statistical standpoint, they were better. They had a higher winning percentage. They were much better offensively. In fact, this was the best offensive Hornets team almost in history. So clearly, I think they're a better team than last season. It's just that we got a little unlucky in that the East as a whole was better. I mean, we have two teams with winning records that missed the playoffs in the Eastern Conference.
And that's what I think fans are not acknowledging enough. We don't have a lot of control over that. We can't control the rest of the teams getting better as well. It's important to know that these 43 wins, that's the 7th seed last year? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and also not to mention, let me say this again for the 500th time. The Eastern Conference is separated by was in the regular season. The Eastern Conference was separated by 10 games, y'all. 10. You know how unheard of that is?
That's the lowest in something like 20 years from the graphic that I saw. So
just as a comparison, in the Western Conference, from the 1st seed to the 11th seed, it is a 30-game difference. In the Eastern Conference is a 10-game difference. And that needs to be noted. It's just more competitive. It is what it is. but you have to look at some of these statistics and see that we have gotten better in a lot of areas, man. But a counterpoint to that is we're still very young, and that's also not talked about enough.
No. The Memphis Grizzlies are young too. By the way, did y'all see the Memphis Grizzlies get whacked up? I'm just saying they look pretty young against the Timberwolves. But anyway,
so I just don't think that's talking about. Our point guard is 20 years old, y'all. You know, Miles Bridges is just turned 22. Our cornerstones are not even 23 years old yet. So I know Hornets fans hate patience. We hate that word. We can't stand that word.
We've been patient for 30 years, bro.
We've been patient for 30 years. Oh my God, I don't want to wait anymore. But you got to look at it, you know, from LaMelo Ball's rookie year to where we're at now. You can't say that it hasn't gotten better since then. So,
you know, absolutely. I think in the big scheme of things, yeah, if the result is no different than last season, you could certainly make the argument. Well, neither are the Hornets. I mean, regardless of whether the East got better or whatnot, it was the exact same. We went to the play-in, we got demolished. We weren't even competitive in the play-in game for 24 minutes. And that's fair. But one thing, a lot of people certainly didn't expect them to have a winning record this season. Didn't expect them to have a winning record in a more competitive Eastern Conference. And the most important thing is didn't expect them to have a winning record despite a major injury to Gordon Hayward. That was like the thing. It was like the Hornets will be okay this season if Hayward stays healthy. Well, he wasn't healthy. He missed a huge chunk of games in the back half of the season, and the Hornets were actually better after the All-Star break than they were before because I think they just said, "Look, guys, we got to learn how to play without this dude."
So let me ask you a question, Kazu. Why doesn't Borrego get credit for that? You know, coming off a horrible February. You know, everybody thought, oh, he lost the locker room and, it's gloom and doom. And then Gordon Hayward goes down and he keeps the team afloat, even to have a winning record the last 2 months. Why doesn't he get credit for holding that down?
I know I said this would be the last thing I said about James Borrego.
And then I bring that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. James Borrego is not he's not immune to criticism. Nobody on the Charlotte Hornets team.
Nobody
is immune to criticism. And I know some people feel like he'll get all the credit when the Hornets do well, but when they do bad, we feel like he shouldn't get any of the blame. No, absolutely not. You have to put things into context. And when you look
what's that word mean?
I know, right? Yeah. I think when you look at what James Borrego has done with the Hornets in context, based with the expectations that were given to him by Jordan and Mitch Kupchak, he's come out okay. Okay. Can he do things better? Heck yeah, he can do a lot of things better. But can our players do things better as well? Yes,
that's my point. So that's where I'm at right there.
When you look at something like for instance, player management. Okay, you got a major key piece to your team who goes down during the season. What do? The players, that's not an adjustment they make. Trust me on that. That is not an adjustment that they make because they'll see it as, well, that's one less person who's going to take shots from me.
Who's going to take minutes and shots from me.
That's one less. Finally, I get one. You know, Jalen McDaniels was like, yes, more shots. Hayward's down. So it's up for the coach to say, especially a guy like Hayward, who's, like we said before, is going to take the grown-up shot. It's for the coach to be like, okay, guys, we need people to take the grown-up shot. So I'm going to say that was a good team effort to learn how to play without Gordon Hayward and kind of trend upward on the back half of the season.
Fair enough.
To be fair, I think that the reason that we never saw this kind of vitriol about James Borrego until LaMelo Ball got drafted. And I just think that's where a lot of it comes from. We want to see the shiny new toys play. We want to see the that's expensive. We want to see the we want to see the guys we drafted play. And JB has had a very slow, patient approach to developing our guys.
But we want what we want right now. We don't
exactly.
want to wait.
So I'm willing to wait because like we've done with everyone else, and I know the situation was different when we drafted PJ Washington and Miles Bridges because that was the very beginning of the rebuild. But historically, guys that we draft, their second season, they start to see a major increase in role and playing time. So I'm going to give JB to the second season. Now, if we're halfway through the second season and Bouknight still isn't getting playing time and Kai Jones is still in the G League, then I'm going to be like, okay, something's going on. Especially if the Hornets are losing. If they're just like a middling team, like, they're barely at 500 and Kai Jones is still like dunking on cats in the G League, then I might be like, okay, what's going on here? But if the Hornets are like on pace to win 50 games, then I'm happy. I can't say anything about the roster makeup at that point.
All right, I hate to backtrack, but here's something that I wanted to address to you because here was another big narrative, when it comes to Wednesday night's game. So I wanted to ask you about this. I'm going to frame a question this way. All right, Kaza, you're the coach for the Charlotte Hornets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nate McMillan makes an adjustment. You also make an adjustment. You make a counter adjustment, and that adjustment doesn't work. So then you try another adjustment, and that one doesn't work. What do? What is that? I'll answer it if you can't answer it.
Go ahead.
It's a damn roster problem. That's what it is.
I was gonna say sometimes the other team is just better than you, and all you can do is try and enforce your will on the other team. And
let me be more specific, man, because you have people who are like, "Oh, JB did make an adjustment." That's not true at all. I'm gonna tell you why that's not true. Okay. Before last week, Kaza, me and you, the main question me and you asked was, "What is going to be, the game plan with Trae Young?" We asked that question before Wednesday night's game, right? We asked, is JB going to blitz, Trae Young on pick and rolls? Is he going to play matchup zone? We asked these questions. Going into the second half of that game, they started blitzing Trae Young again. Nate McMillan made an adjustment. He made Kevin Huerter kind of closer to the ball, to not to be a ball handler, but to kind of take pressure off the blitz that we were running towards Trae Young. Those shooters start hitting their shots. So what does JB do? He goes to a matchup zone the next time out. They were still hitting shots. So at some point, when does it become a roster problem more than a coaching problem? That's my question. Because I don't want
when you got a guy like Huerter and Bogdanovich
and DeAndre Hunter, who thoroughly outplayed Miles Bridges. Let's not forget that.
Shoot the lights out. I mean, what do you do? You can't abandon your strategy against Trae Young because, to be fair, Trae Young didn't have a spectacular game,
right?
But he essentially let everyone else beat us. And our guys like Kelly Oubre, who if he shoots as well as Huerter or Bogdanovich did, we have a closer game. But
we have a closer game.
He didn't shoot well. No one shot well. Terry Rozier hits an open three. That's tough. I do think that the Hornets I think last Wednesday proved that our roster still, we just don't have enough. When we need it, we just don't have it.
I want to make this point again. I hate to be repetitive, but I feel like I really have to make this point again. And here's where it comes down to the culture of the Hornets. Now, let me say this one more time, man. Sometimes in the NBA, you gotta remember, in the NBA, everybody's good. Okay, you can have a hand in the man's face and they hit that shot anyway. You can do everything you can do sometimes, and the other teams just hit shots. It is up to you as a professional to not hang your head, to not mope back down the court, and to not let it affect you on the other end of the court. And that, to me, is the biggest Charlotte Hornet problem, in my opinion. I want to say that one more time for the people listening.
Plus, how easy is it to make adjustments when you've got Trae Young on your team? We don't have a Trae Young. LaMelo stands can come at me. We don't have a Trae Young. We don't have anyone nearly as good as Trae Young. LaMelo got at least 2 more seasons before he's even in the same conversation as Trae Young.
Hey, Kyle, what do I say all the time? It's okay to give the other team credit sometimes, man. It really is.
Yeah. Now, one day the Hornets will get to the point where teams have to game plan LaMelo Ball. They're going to have to try and game plan him out the game, and then we can have some strategy where we rely on our secondary weapons to make up for LaMelo Ball's lesson impact because whatever the other team throws at him. We're not at that.
We're not there yet.
One last question. I'm going to scroll up here. Someone asked, who would our dream center be? I mean, realistically, like guys that I think we could get, I do think Nurkic would be a great fit for this team. He's not a real like big defensive center though, but the guy averages a double-double, like a legit double-double. So, he's not going to let guys run into the paint. He's gonna challenge and contest guys. A guy like him, Sabonis, you guys know I've been very high on him throughout the season. He's not a free agent, but I do think he could be traded away. And I think that he would really propel the Hornets. I think you give LaMelo a guy like Sabonis, a guy who can put up like 30 and 15, in any given night. Plus, those European centers, they can do just about everything. They do everything that Mason Plumlee wishes he could do. And you got a guy like Rudy Gobert. I know I can say that because Rodney's not here to argue with me about a guy like Rudy Gobert. But even at his advanced age, I mean, Rudy Gobert is he's still the best defensive center in the league. You put him in the middle, you don't have to worry about guys blowing by you on the perimeter because now they got to deal with Rudy Gobert there.
Yeah,
either of those guys, I feel like, or a guy like I'd like to say DeAndre Ayton because I think he would turn this franchise around, but he's a restricted free agent, and the Phoenix Suns are not letting him go anywhere.
You hear that sound? That's the armor truck backing up for DeAndre Ayton.
He's gonna get max. He's gonna get max because teams out there they're gonna offer him max, and they're just gonna have to match it.
So let me answer that question, man. Unrealistically, Rudy Gobert. Realistically, I'm gonna throw you a curveball and say Jonas Valanciunas because I like his toughness. Now, even though it is a little alarming to get outplayed by Mason Plumlee that one game, even though that's a little alarming, but over the long haul in his body of work, I would take Valanciunas because I like his toughness down low, and I also like the way he shoots the ball. He can also stretch the floor as well. So interior toughness, rebounding, rim protection, and he can stretch the floor. I think he'd be a good fit with the Hornets too, man.
Hey, let me ask you this: you bring Trez back next season or not?
I say no. And I know that may shock some people. Like I love what Trez bought us, but to me, he doesn't give us enough of what we need. I like his spark off the bench. I like his attitude. I like the way his teammates get along with him. But at the same time, man, I just, again, he doesn't give us enough of what we need. Now, if we're in a situation where Plumlee is gone and we do have our quote-unquote starting center and he's your backup, I'd probably be cooler with him in that situation.
So Montrezl Harrell makes $12 million a year. And that was a reduced figure that he took in order to go play with LA when he turned down the offer that the Hornets gave him, which was significantly more.
Yep.
I don't think Mitch is going to offer him significantly more. He's going to offer him.
He shouldn't.
Yeah. He's going to offer him about 12 to maybe 15 million on the high end, which might even be too much for a guy like Harrell. But that's what they were paying Cody Zeller. So if you can pay Cody Zeller 15 mil, you can pay Montrezl Harrell 15 mil.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't see him staying either. I think teams are gonna go after him, and they're gonna offer him about that. And I think, given the choice, he would move on because he's not gonna start here. I don't think he's start here.
Hey, you know what? What would not surprise me at all? It would not surprise me at all if we overpay a guy like Andre Drummond. Just watch out for that. That's all I'm gonna say.
See, but then the fans are happy, right?
Of course, right?
Does Andre Drummond make the Hornets better?
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Okay, so here's the thing that a lot of fans don't realize about the Hornets' deficiencies at center. Sometimes those deficiencies statistically are brought about because of poor perimeter defensive play. For instance, Mason Plumlee only averaged 7.5 rebounds a game per season. And we say, man, what a low number. That's what Cody Zeller was averaging. But he averaged over 10 a game when he was in Portland. You know why he averaged more rebounds a game in Portland with the same minutes? Because people missed more shots against
Because people missed more shots. Exactly. Pretty simple concept.
Nobody misses shots against the Charlotte Hornets. There are less rebounding opportunities, and the rebound percentage numbers are a lot lower. It's just harder to get rebounds as a Charlotte Hornet because your opponents are always hitting shots.
Right.
I think if the Hornets were better defensively, like if we could actually make people miss, then that's more rebounding opportunities for our big guys. So if we get a guy like Drummond, who is a great rebounder, like even as old as he is, he's a great rebounder. But if there's not any chances for him to rebound, then how effective is he? How much more effective is he than a guy like Plumlee or Montrezl Harrell?
Yeah.
Now, Chris Calloway says that's coaching. Sure, making other teams miss, I guess, is coaching.
Look, I don't care what you say. Effort doesn't. Coaching has nothing to do with effort. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Coaching has nothing to do with the guys who want to try more to play defense. I don't buy that.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a good defensive scheme,
then, you can. There's no scheme for effort.
Right.
So, Kazi, do you want to talk about Baker Mayfield yet?
We have to. Baker Mayfield has been. We'll keep this brief because I'd rather talk about Stephon Gilmore. Baker Mayfield has been tied to the Charlotte. It should be the Charlotte Panthers. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. The Carolina Panthers as somebody that they're gonna go after. I think Tepper would do it just to put butts in the seats. That's it. I don't think it wouldn't have anything to do with making the Carolina Panthers any better. But you bring Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers, you're going to get a bunch of media coverage. He's going to say some ridiculous things. Right. They already know that he doesn't want to play here. He's essentially said that.
That doesn't sound like Robbie Anderson wants him to play here either.
Right. No. Yeah. I don't know why. And plus, I will say though, there are other teams that are interested in Baker Mayfield, and he'll go to one of those teams, and it'll be a moot point. And we'll waste a draft pick on some quarterback that the fans will want to see come out there and throw 3 interceptions a game. And yeah. Chris said it's better than anything we've had in 4 years. I don't disagree with that. But
it also doesn't get us excited as well as you can tell.
It doesn't move the needle on the how good the Carolina Panthers are. That's like being the tallest midget in a room of midgets.
Right.
Congratulations. But
hey man, you gotta be more PC, man. It's
my apologies, dwarf. Small people, little people. You're the tallest little person. That's what Baker Mayfield would give the Carolina Panthers.
It's a marginal improvement at best, and the Panthers need way more than marginal improvements. Right. I think that's a good way of putting it.
We've said this before. The Panthers are going to be in quarterback purgatory for a long time. Long time. Franchise quarterbacks do not grow on trees.
Hey, you know what, Kaza, I slightly disagree with that only because it's a good possibility we suck again next season and we're picking in the top 3. So I
think the defense is good enough to keep them from being a top 3 from drafting the top.
So what it sounds like you're saying that the Panthers are turning into the Charlotte Bobcats of the NFL. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Definitely. Definitely. There's too many holes offensively. I know that we say defense wins championships, but in the NFL, you got to score points. You really got to be able to score points in order to win the chip. And maybe, and we've said this before, to be fair, the organization did say, hey, we're going to come out the gate and rebuild on the defensive side of the ball, and then we're going to switch to the offensive side of the ball. Maybe they should have gone the other way instead. Get your quarterback time to get used to playing in an NFL offense behind a competent offensive line, and then put a defense behind him.
What you got on Stephon Gilmore, man?
Okay, so Stephon Gilmore left the Panthers for a 2-year deal with Indianapolis worth about $24 million. I have trouble believing that the Panthers would not offer him more than that, considering they just re-signed Dante Jackson
to $10 million a year.
$10 million a
year. Right.
I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled. I really wish I could know. Maybe we gotta call Miss Quick up and see if she was in that room,
right?
When that conversation was had, because I can't imagine the either he just didn't want to play with Carolina anymore and was like, okay, I'm just out of here. Or
that's what it sounds like.
Or the Panthers lowballed him, on a deal. I can't imagine that they wouldn't offer him at least $12 million a year for 2 years. I just can't imagine it.
Look, the only thing I can think of is they're looking at this as salary cap management. I mean, kind of what you said. Maybe they had a number in mind. Maybe they said, look, here's our number. If you don't want it, we have to say goodbye, just due to salary cap implications. That is the only thing I can think of, because other than that, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
Yeah, I don't get that. There are some rumblings that guys don't want to play for Matt Rule.
Oh boy, Lord have mercy, boy. You want to talk about Hornets fans talk about culture? Good Lord, man. I wonder, are these same Hornets fans that hate JB so much? I wonder, are they Panthers fans as well? Because I need that same smoke over on the football side of things, bro.
Yeah, it's a little more clear over in Panthers
on the football side
with what the coaching is doing, because some of the decisions that he's made are more direct. Like, I mean, that 12 minutes on the field will always haunt me. Although it probably didn't matter much in the course of the game, but when you push your guy out to the field and he turns around and says, "Coach,
there's already
out there," and he's like, "Hey, no, just go.
No, just go. No, trust me.
I know what I'm talking about. I'm the coach here.
I know what I'm saying."
All right. Flag, 12 men on the field. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Yeah, that's I don't think that it was a case of Stephon Gilmore not wanting to play for the Panthers. Not wanting to play for Matt Rule. But I think it was more of a case of, one, we said this before, him making the Pro Bowl was the worst thing that could have happened to the Panthers, because now other teams want him, whereas they didn't before, because he was coming off an injury. He was on the IR with the Patriots, and no one really knew what he was worth. He comes to Carolina, has a great second half of the season, enough to make the Pro Bowl. Now he's a wanted commodity, and I just don't think he wants to be part of a rebuild. I think the Colts are further along than the Panthers are, and so he wants to go there and have success.
Last two things about this topic, I say. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I mean, the Colts are kind of going to be middling and mediocrity, like kind of we are. I don't think they're so far ahead of the Panthers. You know what I mean? Like, I say all that to say I don't know why the Colts are such an attractive situation for him. I'll just leave it at that. And the second thing I'll say is I was really looking forward to the defensive backfield of him, Jackson, Horn, and Henderson. Like, I was so looking forward to that defensive backfield, man. But
look, you got CJ. You got CJ coming back.
We did pick up Xavier Rhodes. I forgot about that. So
we got Dante Taylor Jr. That's a pretty good defensive backfield.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe the Panthers felt like, no, we can get along without Stephon Gilmore's services. maybe they felt like that 12 million plus would be better spent trying to, the offensive line, because it looks like they're not going to be able to dump off McCaffrey this season.
Yeah.
So, that's another year they're going to have to eat his contract. So, are we shopping for a new coach next year? Oh boy. If the Panthers improve this season, no. If they're the same or worse, then yes.
Is there a number to that? Like, is there like a number of games you think? Like what do we really like? What specifically are we looking at when it comes to like number of wins? I know that's a tough question.
I don't know if Tepper is looking at wins.
Right.
I think
good point.
He's looking at noticeable improvement.
Right. Good point.
And I kind of think the Hornets are doing the same thing. I think Jordan and Mitch are looking at, is this team getting better each season?
Look, man, I don't mean to sound like a snob when I say this, man, but I think a lot of fans kind of don't like that concept. Fans want wins, and that's understandable. You get what I'm saying? Fans want wins. And again, I get it. But if you're looking at, long-term situation, man, to your point, you just want to see improvement. You want to see improvement. And then at some point, you are going to start measuring coaches by wins. So that makes sense to me. I get it.
No, yeah, next season is, of course, is going to be a penultimate season for Matt Rule. Regardless of anything, he's gotten to make the playoffs. He simply does. And but I do think if we somehow miss the playoffs, but the team is in a better. If there's not disarray, there seemed to be a lot of disarray this past season.
Yeah, no doubt.
The media. I think if that's gone, then we might hang on to Matt Rule one more.
No doubt.
So, okay, we're done talking about that team, right? That team.
Do we have to, man?
No, we're done. We're done with the Charlotte Panthers, and I'm gonna call them the Charlotte Panthers. Because this is my shout out, or my shout at. I'm going to shout at the town. Yes, you are a town of Rock Hill, South Carolina. And
God!
Let me
I
tell
know where you're going. I know where you're going.
So yeah. Rock Hill, South Carolina is like a second home to me. I am from Charlotte, but I practically grew up there, playing in Sunset Park. Boyd Hill. I know all the neighborhoods in Rock Hill. My dad lives there. His family is from there. I really like the town of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Okay. So when I heard that essentially that the Panthers were building their new headquarters and practice facilities there, I thought that was a good thing for them. I can understand why David Tepper would want to do that. You get the taxpayers and the fans in this other state that the Panthers have been tied to, mainly in name only. You get them involved. You increase the economy in York County. A lot of good things. But the deal was that the town of Rock Hill was going to put in on this. Okay? They were going to make payments. Tepper was essentially going to allow the city of Rock Hill to make payments towards the headquarters and practice facility. That is set to open next year, by the way, 2023.
And these dudes.
The project is now on hold because York County says, or rather Rock Hill says, that they cannot make the payment. They've essentially stopped making payments. And York County said that, hey, we're York County. We're not responsible for the payments that need to be made on the site. That's a deal you made with the city of Rock Hill. And Rock Hill's like, well, here's the new deal. The new deal is that they're going to offer Tepper and the Panthers essentially, they're going to give him a tax break for if he extends the length of the payments 30 years. 30 years.
This is ridiculous, man.
30 years. The Panthers might not even be here in another 30 years. If they don't win another Super Bowl in the next 10, I'd be shocked if they were here another 30 years. So essentially, they've backed out on a deal that they made with Tepper because they can't afford to, or they don't want to pay to keep it on this deal. And Tepper has said, well, you know what? All right, stop. Hey, stop building, y'all. Stop. And here's the thing about when you deal with a guy like Tepper. Tepper is the richest owner in the NFL, and he is a sole owner. I mean, there are other minority owners of the Panthers, but he's the guy. He's got enough money where he can just say, you know what? Scrap it. Sell that land off. Tear all that down. Scrap it. We'll build somewhere else. Some place is going to give me money. And you know, the city of Charlotte, even though they wouldn't want to, they'd be more than happy to find some way.
Come on down.
Pepper $800 million to build the new practice facility and the headquarters in Charlotte, like they wanted to. Rock Hill has dropped the ball on this, and to Tepper and the Panthers, essentially, this is what happens when you deal with places like Rock Hill, South Carolina. I hate to say it. This is what happens when you deal with essentially Rock Hill is. They're a small town. They're not even a fourth the size of Charlotte. They don't have the infrastructure or the economy really to support that kind of endeavor, and they've showed it. I don't know what I would do if I was David Tepper. I'd probably say, you know what, if you're not going to honor the original deal that we made, then all bets are off. And you come back to quarter and get paid.
I tell you what I would do, but this is easy for me to say, but I would probably take steps I would probably take a lot more steps to call it the Charlotte Panthers. That's what I would do, but easy for me. Yeah. So here's my shout out. So I'm sorry, shout at. I have two shout ats. We're going to start with the show Undisputed. I don't know if there are two people on the face of the earth that should be prohibited, and to take a saying from a famous host, that should be banned from talking basketball than Mr. Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Look, man, I want to be very clear about something. Has the Hornets' history been a good one? No, it has not. Nobody has to tell me. Nobody has to remind me. Nobody has to say you're a homer, blah, 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 blah. Nobody has to tell me these things. I already know this. But every time the Hornets are in the national spotlight, for whatever reason, it could be good or bad. Whenever the Hornets are in the national spotlight, I really think Skip Bayless, like the light goes off. It's like, oh my God, I have a chance to talk about Michael Jordan. Not the Charlotte Hornets, not the team, but I have a chance to talk about Michael Jordan. And there's so much missing context when it comes to Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe when it comes to the Charlotte Hornets. There's just so many. There's no nuance. There's no context. All it is takes, hot takes. And it's so easy because of us getting blown out in the national spotlight, that it's so easy to just not have context. Throw it out the window. Michael Jordan can't get his team into the playoffs. Do you know how stupid that sounds? I really need people to really dig into your brain and realize how idiotic that is. Michael Jordan can't get the Hornets to the playoffs. I'm going to leave it at that before I really start cussing again on Easter Sunday. My next shout out goes to Mr. Jay Williams on ESPN. Bush League, whack, lack of professionalism, complete lack of integrity. I am sick and tired of that damn four-letter network always trying to send young superstars to the goddamn Los Angeles Lakers. I am sick of it. It ain't just us and LaMelo Ball. They did it to Giannis Antetokounmpo. They did it to Luka Doncic before he signed his extension. They are constantly trying to funnel superstars to the Los Angeles Lakers, and I am absolutely sick of it. Leave LaMelo Ball alone, damn it. Let that young man make a decision on his own. He's probably going to be here his next contract. Like Kaza said, if we don't build around him, he has the right to choose to go to wherever he wants to go to. But for now, just stop it. It is so Bush League. It is so cheap. It is so unprofessionalism. It lacks integrity. Just stop it. I really hate everybody on that damn network. I hate ESPN. Thank you for listening.
That about covers it. That's I hate Jay Williams anyway.
I hate Jay Williams anyway.
Or even whenever he opens his mouth, I'm just like, oh my god. Yeah. But yeah. But I want to thank you guys for joining us. We had a lot of people on today. So thank you guys. Even the whether you agree with us or disagree with us or love us or hate us or whatever, we want to thank you guys.
We appreciate you having us.
Yes,
appreciate y'all being
engaging with us. We'll be live during the draft. Oh yeah, that's like that's the kind of tradition here under construction. We're gonna do a draft party. We might do it like live and direct this year. Post COVID.
Hey, guys, I'm bringing beer over your house this year, man. So just
right. Yeah. You know, we might as well do it. We might as well get smashed and see what ridiculousness the Panthers are gonna do.
Right.
We'll start drowning our sorrows like before the pick comes in. So
we should look before the draft happens. Like if y'all want to suggest like beer or liquor that we should try. Y'all just make us a list in the chat room when we start going live for the draft, man. I think
we'll definitely do that. Hey, look, I'm in off-season mode. I got like one team left, the Hurricanes, that might do something. And that's about it. You know, I'm just chilling.
And then they get their ass kicked last night, and then Charlotte FC loses too, man. So
man, God hates Charlotte.
God.
That's why for the weekend for Easter, we got our ass kicked. I don't know what we did. Maybe it's all the dead slaves under Bank of America. No, I'm not even gonna say no.
Let's just end it there, bro.
Hey, y'all have a good week. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace, y'all. Peace.